I'm the Assistant Registrar in ADeC. So today we have Dr. Zahiruddin Fitri Abu Hassan, who is no longer the head of e-learning unit, but Dr. Zahir is now ADeC's Deputy Director of Learning and Administration Support. So just a little housekeeping before we get started. This session will be recorded by ADeC, so do not click the record button. We will provide the recorded session later in our website and our YouTube channel, so you may also watch the video here in the Teams. So if you have any question, you can type them into the question box. I'll bring them up during the presentation, and we will also have time for questions at the end of the session. We have a big number of participants today, so you will be automatically muted when you get in, and your camera is off for now, but feel free to turn them on and unmute yourself if you have any question to ask. So Dr. Zahir, without further ado, if everything is ready, can I turn the time over to you?
Okay, thank you, Belinda. So I hope everybody is hearing me okay. So can we have a sound check?
Yes,
Okay.
All right. Okay. Thank you. So today we are going to look at Turnitin training for academicians. So we designed the training actually for lecturers who would like to use Turnitin to check their students' work and also look at a few ways of using and optimizing the use of Turnitin for academic use. So hope everybody can see my screen. I'm sharing my screen now, presenting my screen. So this is the synopsis that we are going to explore today. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to improve student writing. We want to also look at enhancing academic honesty among students, both postgraduate and undergraduate. Then look at marking students' work, student essay, especially in their Turnitin portal using Moodle as the learning management system. So when we look at the use of Turnitin, especially a few years back, we find that sometimes we do see that lecturers or some educators have this misconception that Turnitin is just a plagiarism detection tool. So today we are going to look at what Turnitin can do for you, and also what Turnitin can help students with writing, especially. So this is the outline of what we are going to do in our training today. So the first one is to create assignments with the appropriate settings. And we are going to do this using Turnitin inside learning management systems, which is Moodle. So that is a little bit, I would say, it is not that different than setting up Turnitin in the Turnitin web application. But I would suggest that using a Moodle or using Spectrum is actually much simpler and much straightforward for you as an educator. The second one, what we're going to do is we're going to look at how you can actually grade student submission using the Turnitin Feedback Studio. Hopefully, when you set up your Turnitin, you have used Turnitin Feedback Studio before. But if you don't, so we are going to look at it today. The third thing is we're going to look at how you can use the quick marks in Turnitin feedback to improve student writing. The fourth objective of the training is we are going to look at how we can actually correctly interpret the similarity report, especially cleaning up the similarity report before you say whether the submission is plagiarized or not. And of course, lastly, to give meaningful feedback to our students. So actually, we have already written on this issue in our blog. So in our blog, we wrote 2 posts on Turnitin. So you can later, when you have the copy of the slides, you will be able to click on that link and read what we wrote about first one is Turnitin, what it is and what is not. So it's our way of dealing with the misconception of what Turnitin does. And the second one is Turnitin assignment spectrum is how we create and also mark students' assignment in a Moodle environment. So feel free to later read the blog post that we have. Okay, so let's jump straight right into the Turnitin course that you sign up for. So the first thing that we wanted to do is we wanted to create assignments in our Moodle environment or our spectrum. So what it does in our spectrum is when we create assignments in our spectrum, it allows for the gradebook integration. That means we will be able to then download the gradebook from our spectrum and it can be used for marking. So we will create the assignment in Moodle and it will actually turn up and show up in Turnitin application. We are going to show that a little bit later. We are going to look at the originality report and also settings for originality report and also grade mark option, especially to create and set the rubrics. So let's move on to the let's share the screen so that then you can actually go in and okay. So let me check the screen that I'm supposed to share. I think this is not the right one. Okay, can you see my spectrum screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is the spectrum screen that normally what we have in our courses. And I've actually created one Turnitin course demo for today. So this is how it would look like if you've set up the assignment correctly, and you will be able to see the submission inbox and also the student name and also submission. So let's then go back to section page. If you could please mute your microphone so that then you're not interrupting the broadcast. Okay, so let us go back to our spectrum page. And so let's create the Turnitin assignment in our spectrum page. So of course, the first thing to do is to turn anything on so that you make sure that you are able to add the Turnitin course in your. Okay, so let's put the Turnitin activity here. So this is how we create the Turnitin. So you can actually find the Turnitin activity in the add and add an activity or resource button and click on Turnitin assignment. So this is the Turnitin assignment module. The description says it creates a Turnitin module direct assignment which links an activity in Moodle to an assignment Turnitin. Okay, so remember, because we have already the Turnitin account in our organization, in our university. So what we did with ETM is ETM has installed the Turnitin plugin into our spectrum. So you can actually create the assignment right from our spectrum. And it will actually show up later. I will show you how it looks like in the Turnitin web application. So click add. Okay, so wait for it to load. And this is the Turnitin assignment page for the class. Okay, so of course, the first thing in any spectrum environment, so you need to have the name. So let's put it as or let's say question. And the summary is normally where we put the instructions to the student. So the instruction can be, for example, write 1,000 word essay on global warming. And you can actually put in quite a number of other things in there. The length, of course, format, and everything else. But it can be simple as structure. So normally you would allow for any submission type the number of parts. It's interesting. So you can actually have more than one parts in your assignment, and parts here means if you click on here, the students can actually submit one piece to one part. So for example, you have two essays. So then you can have two parts. So first is essay one, then the second one is essay two. You can do that. Or you can have you can use parts as the first part would be the draft or the first comments for the essay, and then after that you use the second part as the finalized and reviewed essay. That means after students have updated their work. So they can have parts like that. But for the purpose of this training, we are going to go with just one part. Okay, and you can set the site upload limit if you want. You don't really have to. 40 megabytes is actually quite a lot. So normal essay would be around 1 or 2 megabytes only. Allow submission of any file type. I would say just you can put that yes. Okay. Display originality report to student. So this is a bit of I would say discretion on your part. So if you would like to, if you like for the students to know their originality report before they before you mark the, and so that they will be able to see what kind of similarity report that we get from their essay, then I would say yes. I normally put yes because I want the students to be able to see their originality report when they submit their work. And I think the purpose is that it's a good way of plagiarism deterrent. So when the students, when they submit, and then after about 15 minutes or an hour or a day after, they go back and see their originality reports, then they will be able to know that this much has been actually recorded as similarity. Okay, and what it does that then the students will feel that if their similarity index is high, then they need to take the initiative to redo their work. So that's why I like to display originality report to students when they submit. Okay. Grade display is self-explanatory, so it shows as a function of whatever maximum marks that you have. And then automatically refresh grades and scores. Normally I would just put it as yes. Okay, so I didn't really mess with this. So it's a normal point grade system with a 100 maximum grade. Okay. You can actually set grade to pass. Okay, so that means if the grade to pass is set, then if your students fail to achieve certain grades, then it will be graded as fail. I normally would just leave this alone. Okay, so So the assignment, so this is where you set the dates for the assignment. You can have the default name, part 1, or you can actually change this to, for example, first review. Okay. And of course, you set the start date, you set the due date, and set the post date. So what does post date means? Post dates means that the students will be able to see their marks after you have marked the students. So for example, you set the post date to a week after 7th of December. So this gives you between 7th to 14th of December to mark all the students' work.